Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about base hits or home runs. Now, if you've been following along, welcome back. This is next part of the Quit Your Job field manual. If you don't have that, if you're new, if this is your first video, you can go back and watch the other videos, but definitely go to 9to5ers.com and download the manual. And that's what these videos will walk you through is step by step what you need to do to quit your job. That's what the whole field manual is about, is creating a custom plan to help you get out of your job. And that's what we're all about here at 9to5ers, is setting you up so that you yourself can quit your job. So click subscribe if that's the journey you're on, and we'll bring you the tools and resources you need to get on that journey and get to where you want to be at a lot faster pace. So up to this point, we've talked about a lot of different things. So I'm going to do a quick checkup here, and then we kind of have this in the manual too. So we want to check up on these things here. Have you cut the fat out of your spending? You really need to do that. We don't want to let that linger. The longer that we keep overspending, the longer that we're going to be out that money that we could be putting towards bigger and better things on helping us reach our goals. Have you come up with the out of the box ideas on what it is that you want to do, what it is that's going to move you forward? If you haven't, like, why not? What's holding you back? Are you scared to try new things? Like, that's okay. Let's acknowledge that fear. Reach out to Joe or I, and we can help you. Like, what's going on? A lot of times, like for me personally, like I worry, like, hey, maybe the wrong person's going to find out that I'm having these thoughts of changing my life in this way, and that's going to, whether that's work with HR and stuff like that, or maybe it's a family member that may not be so approving of what it is you're trying to do. Reach out to us. We'd love to have that conversation with you, because it's very real. Is your why big enough? Do we need to go back and tweak it? Your why should be so big and compelling that it just pulls you forward, and it's pretty easy to just go in and do what you need to do to get things going. So if you don't have that why, where that opportunity clock wakes you up in the morning and you're jumping out of bed, hit and go, like if that's not it, if you're hitting snooze, like your why is not big enough. Let's get that why bigger, and let's keep this thing going. And that's what this is all about, is keeping that momentum going. So got our why. We know what number we need to hit to replace our income. Go back and watch the other videos if you've forgotten. They're here. You can watch them as many times as you need to get that all figured out. We understand the basics about active and passive income. There's a lot more that can go into it, and there's all kinds of different ways to skin that cat. So let's not worry about that too much of having it exactly figured out. We have a filter created to help us weed through all these different ideas that we're coming up with. And we know the minimum requirements that we need to take that leap to get out of our job. So, that's a lot of stuff that we've gone through up to this point. So if you're lacking on any of those areas, don't be afraid to go back. This is a process, and that's what the resources are there to be able to do. So, again, we're moving on to base hits or home runs. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Base hits and home runs. So at this point, you're going to kind of want to figure out to yourself, am I close to my goal of actually quitting my job? Like maybe you had a ton of fat in your lifestyle and you cut it way down, and you're only maybe a few $100s away from actually quitting your job, replacing your income. That's what we're trying to do here. That's what I would consider a base hit. If you are $10,000 a month away from quitting your job, I would consider that maybe a home run for the average person, so to speak. So this is kind of like a pivotal moment right here for what you need to do. Do I need to start knocking out a couple of base hits, or do I need to start swinging for the fences and trying to find something big to take me out of my job? And if you're looking at the former here, the base hits, then we need to make sure that we're focusing on those and not wasting our time trying to find that grand slam, that giant business idea that needs to come along and happen for us. A couple of things that you can do here is double check your debt. See what types of debt you have. If you have some bills that are getting close to being paid off, and we're talking in the realm of let's say you're $1,000 a month or less from quitting your job. Let's just put a number on it so we can kind of wrap our heads around it here. If you're close to that and you have multiple bills, debts that are short-term, smaller bills, so not like a mortgage, nothing big or a giant student loan that's going to take forever to get paid off. Like you have smaller debts, maybe some credit cards or whatever. Knocking those out, that's a base hit. Okay. Or maybe a step along the way to a base hit would be building up your reserves to the point where you're now ready to jump on an investment opportunity that comes along. And that could be a rental property. It could be someone else that's buying a rental property and they need some private lending money. And you know that they know what they're doing. Maybe it's someone that needs private lending for their business. Maybe it's purchasing a stock and the stock pays a healthy dividend, and you've read up on the company and you understand their management team and their strategy, and they paid their dividend out for multiple years, and you're pretty confident in what they're doing there. Well, if you're getting a dividend of maybe, let's say $100 a month, well, all right, now that's a base hit. That's a small step. Do we need to hit a base hit here, or do we need to go for a home run? Buying a rental property and it cash flowing between $150 and $200 a month, that's with a mortgage on it, and it's a single family home, for instance, that would be considered a base hit. And it's very important here to know which direction that you need to go in, because Reese is going to go into home runs here in a second. And if you need to hit a home run, don't waste your time with base hits. Like it's going to take forever. Yes, maybe a base hit will come along the way, and maybe you'll go from $10,000 a month down to $9,950. That's fine, but we're still a long way away from hitting that home run, the getting around all the bases. So it's very important that at this point, you should be able to look at your finances and be like, okay, I need to hit a base hit, a couple of base hits, or I need to hit a home run here. And I might, in our future videos, Reese and I might come up with like just a ballpark ideas of like a big strategy of just different examples of base hits and different examples of home runs here. But base hits are in the hundreds of dollars range. Do you need to buy a rental property? Do you need to buy a stock, multiple shares of a stock? Do you need to do some private lending? Maybe can you just, if you're within $400 or $500, can you go down to part-time? Can you switch out and do some consulting work? Can you work from home? Is that like going from 40 hours a week down to 20 hours a week? That I would consider would be a base hit. You're going in the right direction. Maybe you're not there 100%, but you're going in the right direction if what you need to replace is a small amount of money. So Reese, why don't you talk more about the bigger picture, the Babe Ruth swing for the fences.
So if you haven't picked up on our baseball analogy by now, the beautiful thing about this analogy is, base hits or home runs are both after the same goal. It's both you're trying to score. It's just a matter of what way you're trying to do that, because you can rack up those base hits that Joe was just talking about. If you get 4 base hits, you get a run, right? Then you're also loaded up with 3 more on base, ready to go. So there's beautiful things about that. But sometimes, man, if you're down by enough points that you need a little more something than just a base hit. So we're gonna swing for the fences a little bit and try to see if we can get some more runs up on the board here. And that's what the home run aspect of this is those bigger dollar hits. So, for instance, if you're the average American makes, I think, $60,000 a year or so at this time. So that's about $5,000 a month. And if you're just in a situation where you got to go for it, you're going to swing and you're going to try to find something that's going to replace your whole $5,000 a month. That's a home run. But at the same time, what happens when you're swinging for the fences? You're setting yourself up to have the opportunities, not necessarily that you will, but the opportunities for more to fall through. So if you're trying to swing for the fences, just be sure to be in a place where you can afford to stay where you're at. Because if you strike out, you got to be able to stay afloat where you're at. If you do swing for the fences and you knock it sweet on, then home run, great, you did what you went after. But if you don't, the opportunity for the fallout to be greater is there. So that's where base hits can be a little safer play for you. So take those both into consideration on what it is that you're going for. Are you just trying to do the build up over time? Do you have the time? Is that the give you the security, the confidence to do what it is that you're trying to do there? Or are you trying to like do it now? I'm okay if it does fall through, and I'm just going to move the needle here, and instead of building it up and really reach my goals quick, fast, and in a hurry if this does pan out. So
go ahead, Reese.
We tell a little bit of a story here with that in the manual about somebody trying to replace their job. I wonder who that was.
I know that guy.
Yeah. So the reason why Joe and I are talking about this here is because this is exactly what happened to me. Is I was trying to swing for the fences. Joe quit his job like one base hit at a time. Like if there's anybody slow and steady, Joe's your man. But I tend to get a little impatient, so I swung for the fences because $7,500 a month at $100 a month, that's going to be a little while to build that up 75 times. So that takes a little bit more of a big swing to just really make that leap. So in doing that, there was a lot of things that I uncovered and things that I didn't know. And that's why I was advising you on this, that there are more opportunities for things to fall through. But I was okay in taking that swing because I was fine where I was at. My wife, we got her out of her job. She's happy as can be raising our kids, even though they make her want to pull her hair out sometimes. She's loving her life where she's at. And me, I'm trying to do things a little differently. We still need that income. So being able to fall back on where I was at was a beautiful thing. But when things started not working out, such as your financing or just the deals or whatever it was that you're trying to do, then yeah, that's going to be you striking out because you're swinging so hard. So it can work. If it would have worked, it would have been great, but it didn't, and you need to be okay with that.
Absolutely, Reese. And one thing that while you were telling that you're paraphrasing that story, is that in both of our instances, if you're in a marriage, the first person that takes the leap out of their job generally can get there by base hits. That was true for kind of both of our situations, because you can live kind of off of one person's income. Maybe you're almost there, halfway there, but it's easier for that first person to get away from their job with a base hit. But that being said, if you want to get both partners out of their job completely, at some point you need to start swinging for the fences and hitting that home run. And when you swing for the fences, you got to be prepared to strike out, like Reese was talking about. And this is us not being pessimistic. This is a realistic thing. Like, I don't follow baseball in the sense that, but I mean, if you go up to bat and you're trying to hit a home run every single time, your odds of success are extremely low. And you have to be in that mindset that it's a numbers game. I'm going to go up there, I'm going to swing, and every time I strike out, that's one more strikeout closer to the home run, because you want to learn from every time you have a quote unquote failure or a mistake. And that one deal could have changed his life, but the cards were not falling his way. But did he give up? No. And with the base hits, they get you to home plate too, but it's a slower pace. But progress is progress. And if you chip away at the $7,500 or whatever you have a month, $5,000 a month, it is easier to get to home plate. But there are different exit strategies, and we're going to get to that in the next video here. But I would say, if you don't know which way to go, if you're kind of on the fence of like, should I do base hits or should I do home runs? I would say if you got a big number to hit, then you probably need to go for home runs. If it's a smaller number, then you probably need to do some base hits. But if you're kind of like, I don't know if I have a big number or not. Well, what I would do is I would start to maybe get some irons in the fire and start getting some base hits going. Like try to get some momentum going. But always be looking out for that big home run. And base hits can lead to a home run. Like you can skip a couple bases and go all the way home. But just do something and be positive and learn from your mistakes, and just know that success is not this. It's not an upward trend where everything just flows perfectly. I personally tried 7 different things to get out of my job. I think it was at least 7. And Reese has tried at least that many. It's just one of those things where it's a pain in the neck, but it is so worth it when it happens.
Yeah, it transforms your life and your relationship and your family and the future that you have with that. But like Joe said, there's a lot of failure along the way. Even if you're going for base hits, the best batters in the world bat 300. That means they miss 70, they strike out 70% of the time, even if they're going for base hits. So can you imagine just how much more failure you're going to have swinging for the fences? You need to be prepared for that. It just tends to be a tougher journey. And that's why doing these things that we're telling you about takes that toughness out of it and makes this a lot easier to do. So do me a favor. Let me know in the comments where you're at in your journey. Are you going for that big number? Are you going for the home runs? Are you at that home run stage? Or are you at the base hits? Let us know.